I'm done. I did it. I can't believe I actually finished reading all of Junji Ito. This is incredible. I mean, yes, there is still No Longer Human that I need to read, which I won't be reading in this video. I mentioned this a few days ago as well on another video, and I got a lot of support for that in the comments, and I do need to find a time when I will be mentally prepared to read No Longer Human. And don't worry, I will, and then I will do like a complete Junji Ito ranking of every single story he's done that's available in English at some point on my channel, so do stick around for that. But let's talk about Frankenstein. So let me tell you, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley is one of my favourite gothic classics of all time, and I think that Junji Ito did such a great job at adapting it, but also making it his own by the end of it too. Like, there were enough differences in this for me to see this as a different work, and I loved seeing artistry behind how he depicts these scenes. There are so many scenes in the actual Frankenstein story that really do stick with me, like especially with the creation of Frankenstein's monster and just the roaming of graveyards and the finding of bodies by Victor Frankenstein himself and the awakening of Frankenstein's monster. I love the design of him too. Like, he looks almost human, but in a really grotesque and grim way. And it really does add to the message and theme behind Frankenstein itself on acting like God and people who think they are powerful enough to act like God. And by bringing a creation to life, that's exactly what Victor Frankenstein does and the consequences of his actions. I haven't read Frankenstein in such a long time that I do wonder if there are a lot of changes that I initially forgot. Oh, maybe I'm conflating it with the 1994 film adaptation of Frankenstein, when Frankenstein's monster kills Elizabeth and then Victor Frankenstein has to like bring her back to life as the companion to the monster. So I don't know if maybe like as soon as Justine dies, that's when this kind of diverges from the path. So as soon as he asks for a companion, which, you know, like the theme of loneliness is so apparent in both versions of this story that I again think Junji Ito did such a good job at. And you know what as well, having the old style is in having this set in like the 1700s. I don't think another Junji Ito story that I've read so far was set that far back in the past. So it's really great to see the style of it and how that really fits in with the time period. I think it's fantastic. I really do need more Junji Ito stories set long ago, 300, 400 years ago. I really need to see more of that. So yeah, when Frankenstein's monster asks for a companion and Frankenstein and his friend Henry seeks to do that, he brings Justine's head for the head of the female body that he's about to bring to life. And yeah, that really surprised me. I was like, that didn't happen in the original, did it? Like, I don't think it did. I can't recall if it did. I'm a fake fan if that actually did happen. But I enjoyed the ending too, with Justine coming back to life and being scared of Frankenstein's monster. So I did really enjoy this. I thought it was its own thing by the end of it. And even so, like, if Junji Ito wanted to adapt the entire novel faithfully in a huge bind up like the No Longer Human one, I would honestly eat that up. I really would. I wish he would do Anne Radcliffe, the gothic writer from the 1700s. But Frankenstein, I can take this. I think this is like such a great adaptation of it with its own Junji Ito kind of twist. So I gave this one an 8 out of 10. I think it was like a really good story. And honestly, it could have worked as its own novel because I think it's bigger than Black Paradox, I'm sure. Maybe even bigger than Remina. Then the next 6 stories are all based around a guy called Oshikiri. And Oshikiri, he lives in this pretty big house. His parents are away. And it seems like there is another like dimension in his house. So the first story out of all of these is called Neck Spectre. Yeah, he kills his friend because he himself, Oshikiri, is short. And he was jealous of his friend being tall and felt he was being teased. So he kills his friend, his best friend, and buries him in the backyard. And then when he kind of digs him up a little bit, his neck has elongated. And we don't know why. Like, why has that happened? But also, why would you kill your friend because of that? There are many different weird things that come from these 6 stories that I'm not 100% sure how to solidly say what actually happened, because there are different versions of him that comes up in later stories where there is like the alternate parallel universes that seem to come through at this house. This house does seem pretty important for that to happen. Yeah, the first story of that I gave a 7 out of 10 because it did have some really great visuals in the elongated neck, which was very unnerving. Seeing all of the necks just rise up and how wrong that looks. Ugh, shivers. The next one, Bog of Living Spirits, I thought was really unique. At first, I didn't even realize it was the same character, to be honest, because again, sometimes Junji Ito just has characters that look alike. In Oshikiri, he has a friend, again, he shouldn't really have any friends after he just killed one of them. But then I don't know if that was like some kind of person from another universe that kind of just came through and pretended to be the main character for that chapter. I don't know. Like this, I don't know. But yeah, Oshikiri does have a friend who is so popular in school. Everybody loves him. And like these girls just like constantly follow him. They will not leave him alone. And as part of a committee, they go to this bog where they have to clean it. And it looks like Oshikiri's friend falls into the water and dies because he doesn't resurface. And everyone's like shocked because, you know, it's just happened before their eyes. It's awful. But it turns out that Oshikiri and his friend planned it so that his friend could try and escape and fake his death so he can get away from these girls. And these girls are intense. They're weird. There's something definitely wrong with them. And it isn't really 100% explained. So I gave that one a 6 out of 10. And it's left to interpretation whether or not his friend did get away alive. And I don't know which way I'm swinging with that one. Please let me know down below if you know. But yeah, maybe he didn't escape from the bog and he drowned. Like, we just don't know. It's like so left open to interpretation. Then we get to Pen Pal. This one was a really interesting story. It's a bit of a mindfuck, these Oshikiri saga chapters. He meets a friend, right? And she has these letters and she says she has these 3 friends who she writes letters to all the time. But he catches the address on one of the letters is her address. So it seems like she's just sending the letters to herself. But then she is saying like, oh, the letters are saying that they're going to kill her. They're going to kill her. So she ends up stabbing herself in front of him. And I just don't know what to think here, because does this mean like she has maybe different personalities and she's writing these letters to herself, but like her other personalities that are doing this? Is it the alternate universe people who she's communicating with who have managed to come into this? You know, I just don't know. I don't know. It's so good though, the fact that I'm confused but still so thoroughly entertained with it. But then we end the chapter with Oshikiri finding a letter, and it says that he is the murderer. He's the one who stabbed the girl, but then he realizes that it's his handwriting. So is he writing letters to himself now? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. That was like so interesting. I was like, oh, okay. Like that was like a little bit of a subtle twist that just, it floored me, because I was like, what? So I gave that one a 7.5, just because of the sheer mindfuckedness of it. Then we have Intruder, and this one has a Shikiri. He makes some friends in a library. They end up coming around to his, and they see an alternate version of Oshikiri burying the friends that he's made in the library, like an alternate version of the friends he made in the library. So they're watching it, and he's like burying them. And it's so weird. Again, it's another weird one. I only give this one 5 out of 10 though, because I feel like, yeah, just watching an alternate version bury his friends, while that is upsetting, it's not really the scariest, and it didn't really have like what I thought was any good twists or anything. It was just like, all right, that's a fine story compared to the other ones. In seeing the bodies of themselves buried and decomposed is, again, like traumatic. I would hate to ever discover my body decomposed. I'd never want to say that, and obviously I'd never be able to say that, but odd. The word of this vlog is odd. And then we get to The Strange Tale of Oshikiri. And honestly, the whole bloody thing's been The Strange Tale of Oshikiri, I tell you. This one I gave a 5.5. He keeps getting these sort of images or visions or these random things from an alternate universe that looks like the people he knows from his school. And they sort of just like melt in front of his eyes and die. And it's the same with a friend of his who is a girl. Like, she becomes this like blob thing, and then he does seem to stumble into the alternate universe, like the other world, and finds his friend tied up with him, the alternate him, like about to inject her. So there is like a fight between both Oshikiris, and what I love about it is this panel here. After, I think this one's the fake Oshikiri. Again, like, I'm not 100% sure on anything. And him looking like that was just so disgusting to me. So yeah, I gave that one 5.5 out of 10. It was okay to me, but it was the visuals that really elevated the story. And then we get to The Strange Tale of Oshikiri the Walls. This is the last story in here about Oshikiri. I don't know if maybe Junji Ito wrote more stories about him, but I will say his journey is extremely interesting. I gave it 5.5 too. I thought it was just like pretty much on par with the previous story, but there is a body in the wall that he finds, and then his parents come home, but then he realizes those aren't actually his parents. So that is really terrifying. Can you imagine being home, you know, your parents are there and, you know, everything's fine, but then you get a phone call and it's from your parents saying that they're going to be on their way home like next week or something, and you're just like, wait, hang on, then who's in the house? That is messed up. And it's so odd as well when the fake parents get taken into the wall, like sucked into the wall, like that's disgusting. Oh, and then ending it on this is why I also gave it like a 5.5. I love the look of the house because it's like, how many dead bodies are actually hiding in this wall? And you see pretty much that. There are so many dead bodies hiding in the walls. It's so messed up. It's so good though. So finally we do get out of the Oshikiri chapters and we have like really, really short stories now. Like, I'm talking just 5 or 6 pages. So the first one is The Hell of the Doll Funeral, which, oh, it's so chilling. I gave it a 7 out of 10 despite its shortness, but apparently there are signs of dollification throughout this town, and a lot of people's children become dolls. It's a slow progress, but they do become dolls, and they're trying to like salvage their daughter. Then she just ends up looking like this, and they realize that they do actually have to burn their daughter. And it is sad. Like, imagine watching someone, which it does happen in real life, you know, like people who do have diseases and their loved ones have to watch them deteriorate over time. It's so upsetting and awful. And seeing a child, you know, turning into this, I can't imagine a worse horror for a parent. That was a really good, creepy little story. Like, I'm talking very small story. And dolls do freak me out anyway, so I think that's a win. Then we get Face Firmly in Place, and this one really does play into your fear of being at potentially dentists or going to the doctors, and there's a sort of Final Destination-esque kind of vibe to this one. But this woman, she does go to the doctors and is left in this chair where her head is like put firmly in place by these things that go in her ear. But then the doctor, he goes out for a minute and he falls down the stairs and he goes to the hospital, but no one realizes that she's there and she doesn't get rescued till the next day. But like the fear of being stuck somewhere, because she can't move her head, she's trapped in this chair with this device on her head and she can't move. That is seriously messed up, and that's a fear of anyone who goes to like the dentist or the doctors, like in case anything like that goes wrong. I mean, not everyone's fear is that, but you know, sometimes I've thought of that too. So I ended up giving that one a 6.5 out of 10. The woman does survive, but she won't let anyone see her ears, and I would love to have seen what her ears look like after that. And then the final 2 stories, I'm not going to count these into the overall average because I believe they are just following Junji Ito's dog, I think from 1998, and just like what a bad dog she is, essentially. Like, she bites him and she's getting washed. The boss sleeps with her minion. She also snores. Like, there's just not really anything to the story that I can really talk about. So I gave it a 2 out of 10. It's a bit like the Mystery of the Poop one, you know, it's just a really random, odd, fun chapter from the author just to get it out there. And then the final one, Hide and Seek with Boss Non Non, that is also something I gave 2 out of 10. I feel like these should have been put at the very end, like after an author note, once you realize that, hey, this is like not like his other stories, so don't really put it in with this collection. It's just like a fun little bonus thing. But it is put with all the other stories as if it is normal horror stories mixed in with Frankenstein and all of that. But this one is sad because it does let you know that Non Non did die on March 5th, 1998 at 10:20 p.m., which is so sad. Like the loss of a pet, oh, it hurts me so much. I've lost three pets in my lifetime and it hurts. So I totally get it. But again, it's just like not really the stories that I wanted to read in a Junji Ito collection, you know? But overall, I think this was a really strong collection, mainly because of my love for Frankenstein, but also the Oshikiri chapters were also very, very interesting. So overall, this gets an average of 6.44 out of 10. A very good rating to end this vlog on, considering a few of the previous ones have been not the best.